Hello everyone, welcome back to another EE Live Q&A with me, your host, Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher. I am here live from Lethbridge, Alberta, broadcasting from my law firm Stringham LLP, and I'm here to answer all of your questions as they relate to express entry. It's amazing, you guys, how fast our group has been growing. And this here is being broadcast for you YouTubers who are checking out the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube page. This group, Express Entry Law, which is a private Facebook group which I started, I think at the beginning of 2017 we started it. At least we started to really publish it. That group has swelled to, well, let's just take a look here. Let's switch my screen and we'll enlarge this and let's see where we're sitting. So you can see, guys, I'm going to go right here. Looks like 4 people want to join. We are at right now 78,611 members, and our goal, and this is a collective goal with everybody here, I want to include all of you guys with me, is to see this group grow to the point where we cross over 100,000 members by the end of this year. So come January 1st, 2018, I'd love to see this group grow just to see if we can get it that big to 100,000 members. So see if you guys can join me in this crazy journey. All right, it is 12:07 p.m. right now, and I'll wait a few more seconds for a few more people to join us as we're now going into, I don't know how many of these I've done. There's probably, I don't even know, maybe 60, maybe more. But we're just going to continue doing these. You'll see today it's Tuesday. So every Tuesday I'm going to do this at noon, Mountain Standard Time, an EE Live Q&A. So then there's a little bit more predictability for all of you guys who are trying to determine when these are actually going to happen. Because in the past, when I had a few seconds, I just jumped on and did a live Q&A, and sometimes a lot of you who are in different time zones were either asleep or busy doing something else and missed the live event. Now, they're always being saved and rebroadcast for all of you, but and I'm flipping them out to YouTube as well. But for many of you who want to attend the live Q&A, it's good to have a set time that's predictable for everyone. So that is what I'm doing. All right, where are you guys listening in from? So we've got Nadim here, Gull, Ben Greasy has given me a thumbs up, Ahmed, Brian, Arshana, Mauricia, all you awesome folks. Where are you listening in from? So Mauricia, you bet, from St. Lucia, 3:07 p.m. here. Hey, that's great. That's a time period where people are actually still awake. I know many of you are listening from other locations that the time zone may result in it being midnight. And in fairness, I have done a few really late EE Live Q&As to accommodate people. And it's interesting, I found that the number of people that attend live are just as much right now at noon Mountain Standard Time on Tuesdays as they are a Saturday evening, which was a poll that I did a few months back asking people when is the best time. So this is what everybody kind of settled on, and it seems to work for me, and hopefully it'll work for all of you guys. Okay, Pakistan, awesome. Oman, Ahmed's Cairo, Obed is in India. Benju is, let's see, just jumped. Oh, man, there's so many of you on here from India. Nivedita is India as well, and she confirmed it's midnight there. So, yes, I'm making some of you guys stay up pretty darn late. 12:30 a.m., and then Sadan says they're from Dubai. So fantastic. It's nice to see guys from all over the place. And then Brian, of course, you're from Edmonton. You've been on here, freezing, minus 14 degrees. You know, it's probably about minus 7 or 8 right now Celsius down here in Lethbridge. And I know you guys up in Edmonton, when it snows, it stays. But you can see out the window here, if you can look out there, there's a little bit of ice, a little bit of remnant from the last snowfall. But for the most part, it's melted and disappeared. So, so that's the situation between the different cities in Alberta. Edmonton, it tends to stay a little bit colder than it does down here in Lethbridge. All right, Mohammed's confirming Pakistan midnight. Awesome. Yeah, and we've got Suresh is from Hyderabad. Awesome. Okay, we've got Saudi Arabia, Abdul. Great. So we got people from all over. Anyway, so I just for those of you who are new to this, or some of you YouTubers who are not all integrated with this awesome Express Entry Law Facebook group we have, this EE Live Q&A is an opportunity for me, a Canadian immigration lawyer, Mark Holthe, to answer questions that were posed to me in advance, and usually those are the ones I'm going to give priority to. And anyone who's sent an email to mholthe@stringham.ca, and for all of you YouTubers as well, if you ever want to reach me or you have, you want to engage me as a lawyer or retain our firm, you can always send an email here to mholthe@stringham.ca. But I'll also put a link in the description for this video to our website where you can log in and book a paid consultation. Also, as all of you know, and I will continue to plug this till the cows come home, which is a phrase we use here in Alberta, this EE Live Q&A is only possible, folks, because of this sponsor through the Canadian Immigration Institute, which of course I'm the founder as well, this Express Entry complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. So this subscription-based course, which literally compiles all of the information, all of the knowledge that I'm sharing with all of you guys right now into one super easy to follow, step-by-step video tutorial walking you through every aspect of the Express Entry process. It's all encompassed right here in this Express Entry complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. And that founder right there is the reason that I'm able to do this for free. And as a Canadian immigration lawyer, folks, this is something I love to do, but it's also my job. It's how I provide for my family and my kids, and this is how I make my income. So you can imagine if you were a carpenter who specialized in woodworking, maybe making desks for people, and 30% of the desks that you made you gave away for free. Well, you're probably not going to be in business very long. But for me, because this is a downloadable, subscription-based software program, and it's not a program really, it's more a video tutorial series, those who subscribe to this are actually allowing me to have the freedom to earn enough money to allow me to do this for free without having to actually charge for it. So it's a free service, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you appreciate it. But at the end of the day, this is the reason why it makes this possible. So I'd encourage you all to go in and subscribe to it. What I'll do is I'll just jump in very quick, and I'll just show you very quickly what this actually entails. And I know many of you guys have already seen this repeatedly, but this is the link. This is where you're going to go to enroll in the course. And I have obviously have a subscription to it because I'm the one who created it. But you can see here it covers everything from learning the basics of Express Entry to submitting your profile, and all the way through to filing your EAPR. And yeah, so it's awesome. And do you know what's also awesome? When people are trying to connect with me through Facebook Messenger in the midst of me trying to broadcast this video. That is absolutely hilarious. I think I'm going to have to decline the call. All right. And probably it's best to shut off the Facebook page as well. That's hilarious. Anyways, I am super grateful for all of you that have jumped on to join me today. I've got some fantastic questions. I'm going to clear my screen here because when I'm demonstrating, I always end up leaving these hanging little titles and text, which interferes if I'm showing you things on the government website. So I'm going to pull all these off, get them off of here. I'll leave this up here, Canadian Immigration Institute, and let's get right now to all of the questions that were posed to me. And there were a lot. There really were. And so what I want to do is I tried to organize the ones that I felt would be the most beneficial to all of you guys. And you can see here, well, you can't really see, but there's a ton. Like there's a ton of questions, and I even thinned these ones down so that I wouldn't dominate the whole process. Mohammed, Mark, when are you going to get rid of these braces? Even I can feel how difficult sometimes to speak with these wires. Oh my goodness, man. I'm stuck in these bad boys for at least a year. Realistically, at least a year. So thanks for your condolences. I appreciate it. All right. So some of you who've tuned in a little bit later are wondering, why the heck does this 45-year-old Canadian immigration lawyer have braces? Well, when I was in grade 11, that's how we say it in Canada, when I was in grade 11, I was playing high school baseball, and I took a baseball right in the teeth, and it broke my tooth and pushed it down. And so it was right out of the socket. It was pulled down, and it was like the second inning of a 9-inning baseball game, those of you who are familiar with baseball. And so my mouth was all bloody, so they took me to the dentist, who then pushed the tooth back in, but it was actually broken off a little bit higher up at the root. And he took fishing line and cemented it with fishing line to the 2 teeth on each side. And he sent me back, and I was able to rejoin the team about the 5th inning. I think it was about the 5th inning, and we finished the game and won. But anyways, that darn tooth, eventually I had to get it removed, and I had a little partial denture. And it was a lot of fun with the kids because I could make it dance, and it looked like this magic tooth. Oh, I had that tooth for 20 years. And so it reached the stage where my brother-in-law, who's an oral surgeon, says, "Mark, you got to get that darn tooth fixed. You are going to have a wrecked mouth if you do not get it fixed." So I went to see him. He was going to put an implant in, but guess what? There was no room for the tooth to go in because my teeth had started to encroach and go together like that, and so there wasn't room. So he sent me to another friend, Devin, who then slapped the braces on and said, "You're in these for at least a year to a year and a half." And I was like, seriously? Well, what if I don't do this? And he said, well, then you're going to be getting a full set of dentures by the time you're 60, which is not very far away. Anyway, so there's the story. I know all of you guys wanted to hear that. Okay, you probably didn't. But anyways, hey, like I say repeatedly, this is not your average EE Live Q&A. Wait a minute. This probably is the only EE Live Q&A, but it is the only one where the immigration lawyer actually acts like a live human being and not some robot who is just regurgitating their professional knowledge in some boring fashion that no one actually is entertained by. So I'm here to entertain you and give you information and answers to your express entry law questions. All right, folks, enough of me jabbering on. It's now time to focus on answering your questions that you sent in to me. All right, the first question I have is from Sean Sampath, and he says the question is regarding proof of funds. And I love the way Sean was just direct. Bang, this is the question. I don't need to give you anything else. Here's the facts. This is what I'm looking for an answer for. So he says, proof of funds. Does the bank letter need to quote the amount in your account in Canadian dollars? Here's your simple answer, Sean. Nope, it doesn't. It can be in your local currency. However, when it comes to proving proof of funds, what I'll often do is attach a generic currency converter just so that the officers can see what the amount would actually equate to in Canadian dollars. And I also do that when a person is actually conducting their landing at a port of entry. I'll bring the copies of the bank statements or the letter from the bank, and then I will just attach a little currency converter so that they know how much it is. So no problem there. Okay, next, job reference letter. Does the annual salary amount need to be quoted in Canadian dollars? That is a very, very good question. So let's go to the source, and I'm going to show you, because guys, I'm not just one of those people who just teaches you and just throws out answers with no foundation or support for them. Okay, so let's go back here, and we are going to jump right into this site, the completeness check site. I'm going to blow my screen up so all of you can see it really well. This is the source of directions. So what I want to go down to is the reference letter, and this is the question that Sean had asked. So we'll go to proof of work experience, and you will see here that this is exactly what it should include. All positions held while employed at the company, and the following details. And actually, I'm going to highlight this part here. Job title, duties and responsibilities, job status, dates worked for the company, number of work hours per week, and annual salary plus benefits. No mention whatsoever here that it has to be stated in Canadian funds. All immigration cares about is that it's paid, because if it's unpaid, then you can't count that work experience. Okay, so there's the answer. No problem. back here to my ugly mug, and there is the answer to the first one. And because one of my listeners, and I can't remember which one of it was, thought it was pretty funny when I threw the questions after I answered them, I'm going to keep doing that habit. So, thank you, Sean. There it goes. One question down. Let's jump to the next one. Okay, this is from Natick. Natick. He says, okay, this one's a little bit longer, so I'm going to try and paraphrase. Dear Mark, sir, hope you're doing well. I've gone through all the 29 sessions. They're very helpful. I've got 80% of an idea of how EE works. Natick, I hope you've subscribed to the complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. Then you will have 100%. Okay, anyways, thanks so much for your guidelines. This is actually, I'm going to read this because this is actually worth reading to you guys. He says, thank you so much for your guidelines and help. You are doing great work where you may not get money, but a lot of blessings and good wishes of people who actually get benefited by your information and this free of cost live sessions. Keep it up and best of luck to you, and the thumbs up. That means a lot, Natick, because some of you, I'll be honest, send me messages through private messenger, and then when I don't answer your specific questions for free, you get upset. And, in those circumstances, it really bothers me when I'm trying to help people and others just expect that I'm just going to answer their questions for free. So when someone sends me an email like that with actually understanding the realities of life with, everything that I have going on, that really means a lot. So thanks so much, Natick. Okay, my question is, I had completed my Bachelor's of Engineering in Instrumentation and Control stream in June 2012. From that, I had changed 3 jobs, all with different designations, and I have a total of 6 years of professional experience as an engineer. Okay, so that's the key. So it's all engineer within the same knock. Right now, I'm working in Japan-based MNC company as an executive since the last 3.5 years. So now he's changed from an engineer to an executive. Is it possible or valid if I only want to show my present work experience, so that's the 3.5 years, and all previous I did not want to show? Will it affect my profile? Or CIC may reject it by thinking that I'm trying to hide something. And so the reason behind it, his question, is that he worked on a contract basis before, and it's just hard to get the employers to get reference letters and things like that. And so he said, I'm eagerly waiting for your next EE Live Q&A. Well, and this is, it's actually Patel is what he goes by. So Patel, here's the answer. You do not need to show any work experience within the work experience section of the profile that you don't want to claim work experience for. So if you don't want CRS points, the comprehensive ranking system points, you do not have to list any work experience that you don't want to include. Now, with that being said, this is just the work history section. When you receive your invitation to apply, you will be required to list what you've been doing with your life. And that's in the personal history section. So then you'll want to indicate where you've worked, all the things you've done. But you don't want to include the work experience. And repeatedly that has been confirmed by IRCC. So the government has always confirmed that. It is not a misrepresentation. You are not causing any problems or creating suspicion about you being devious or not wanting to include some past employment history. That's not the case. You will be asked to provide a reference letter within the EAPR portion. So after you receive your invitation to apply, you then file your electronic application for permanent residence. In that process, a portal spot will be opened up for every work experience that you've claimed. And if you've claimed low-skill work experience, which you get no CRS points for, or you list a whole long myriad of other work histories that you'll never get a reference letter for, it's just going to cause problems for you. You do not need to list any work experience that you do not want to claim points for. And that's both for the Federal Skilled Worker Eligibility Assessment or the CEC, or for the Comprehensive Ranking System. Okay? So there's the answer. All right, Patel, great question. That one didn't fly very far. Okay, maybe what I need to do is make these into airplanes and then launch them. Okay, next question is from Oluwafunmilola. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm totally slaughtering your names. Okay, let's try this again. Oluwafunmilola. Awesome. Fantastic name. I'm going to go with Olu because it's easier to pronounce. It kind of reminds me of when I was serving a mission for my church in Portugal. Holfi is my name, but in Portugal, they couldn't really pronounce it very well, so they would just call me Olt. And hey, it worked for me. All right. Good morning, Mark. It has been very educative on your Facebook group. Thank you very much, Olu. I want to know if it is legal to show a statement of account from a bank in Canada as proof of funds. A statement of account, is it legal? All right, let's take a look, man. Let's take a look and see what we got here. All right, so I'm going back to my big screen here. I'm going to the section right here for proof of funds, and you will see here that they ask for you to provide a letter printed on the bank's letterhead, names you, blah, blah, blah. It contains the account numbers, the date the accounts were opened, the average balance for the past 6 months. That is the ideal. That is what you want to provide because that's what IRCC has asked for. But what you're asking is, can you use a statement of account from a bank? Well, the reality is some banks don't want to give this letter with this much detail. And so in those cases, if you can't satisfy this express specific requirements here, then you do the best that you can. And in what I will often do is provide 6 months of bank statements. And then I'll see if the bank will officially stamp them so that they confirm that they are a true reflection of the funds that you have in your account. So yeah, you can use them. It's not illegal to do it. You first try to do and get this official letter. You do everything that you can to try and get that. If you can't get it, then the next best thing are the bank statements. All right? And that's what I would recommend you do. All right. Great question, Olu. Whew. Next one's, oh, that one didn't even fly. I gotta do a better job at launching these. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can get a better launch on that one. Okay. Not bad. Okay, next question. This one is from Tina. Tina from Malaysia. All right, Tina. She asks, hi, Mark. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for all the hard work that you've put out for us. The Facebook group and your podcast has been a huge inspiration for me. Do you guys know I do a podcast? Now, I'm a little behind in the episodes. Guess why? Because I spent all night, all morning answering your questions within the Express Entry Law Facebook group. But I actually do have a podcast. It's awesome. It's called the Canadian Immigration Podcast. And I'm going to show all of you guys, especially you YouTubers out there as well, what it is. So let's see, CanadianImmigrationPodcast.com. That's it. So here's me. This is my ugly mug. It's actually on iTunes. And I interview other lawyers across the country about a variety of different topics related to Canadian immigration. So I'm not just a one-hit wonder. I'm just not an express entry guy. I do all aspects of immigration. So there's interview about Quebec programs, maintaining your permanent residence status, citizenship, a whole bunch of different things, medical inadmissibility, PNP series on the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. See, I do things for PNPs. I just hate them, folks. All right, and I don't need to subscribe because I'm already the owner of this. And how to immigrate as a foreign doctor. Hey, any of you MDs out there, guess what? I did a podcast on it. So this is another source of information. Oh, I love this one, the special U.S. edition. Understanding President Trump's immigration executive orders, if that's even possible. Anyways, so there you go. So I have podcasts. Boy, I get off on these tangents, don't I, folks? Sorry about that. I apologize. All right, let's go back here to... actually, what was I going to show? Oh, yeah, I was distracted. Now I'm together. I'm back here. All right, let's go back to full screen. Okay, back to the questions. Sorry, guys. I get so distracted. Like I said, I need like a tech person who is an executive assistant, who is an audio specialist, who's a video specialist, who can manage this, so all I have to do is sit here and talk. But anyways, I do all of those things. I wear all these different hats. So bear with me if this is a little rough. Okay, so podcast. Yes, I do podcasts. I love it. They're so much fun. Okay. Okay, if I ever make it to Canada, it will all be thanks to the Facebook community and people like you. Fantastic. And I also want to tell you how super stoked and excited I get when people post the fact that they use the group and it directly helped them to get immigration in Canada. It gives me unbelievable satisfaction to hear about all of you guys who go through this process, who use the resources that are available, these EE Live Q&As that I do, who've subscribed to my guide, who've relied upon the awesome members of our group to answer their questions, and they made it through. And even the people that directly hire me to do all of the variety of different service levels that I offer. And that retain our firm to represent them directly or just to review applications. But it gives me a tremendous amount of satisfaction to know that people are benefiting from what we're doing here. So thank you for all of those people who take the time to say, hey, I succeeded. I'm here in Canada, or I got my passports back, or I got my confirmation of permanent residence. So I love to hear that. So keep posting all of that information. Okay, my question, finally. Okay, this is a police clearance question. Okay, the FBI official website states that processing times for clearances are 12 to 14 weeks. Yes, that's true. It sucks. How long do you guys have to submit your ITA or to respond, accept your ITA, and submit your EPR? Okay, let's see how many people are actually paying attention here. How many days do you have? I'm using this Socratic method for teaching now that I had in law school. How many days do you have to file your EAPR application? How many weeks? I'll really challenge you guys. How many weeks do you have to submit your electronic application for permanent residence? Let's see who's smart. Let's see who's paying attention here. I'll wait a few seconds here and see how many people respond. See if anybody knows. Okay, so Ahmed's got 90 days. So how many weeks is that? Okay, I'll answer the question myself. New York's has got 90. Ahmed's got 90. And Ahmed says 12, 13 weeks. Bang, man, you were on top of it. So if it takes 12 basically weeks to get your FBI back, and you only have, it takes 12 to 14 weeks to get your FBI back, and you only have 12 weeks to actually submit your EAPR, well, that's going to be a problem, right? Okay, now everybody's jumping on. Maurice's got 12 weeks. Mohammed, Harneet. Okay, good. You guys are paying attention. Awesome. So that's a problem, right? And so the question here is, if it takes that long and it doesn't arrive in time within the 90 days, this is what Tina's asking, would it be acceptable to submit the application without the police clearances with an explanation letter saying that it will be uploaded when it becomes available later? Thank you so much for your time. Your input is greatly appreciated. I appreciate your question, Tina. This is a great question. Do you know what? I just had a consult just this morning with another Express Entry Law Facebook group member, and we talked about this exact situation. Do they submit it early, or do they wait, or what should they do? And in the case of this client, they actually made the request before they even received their ITA, but it's just taken this long, and they're running out of time. So here's the answer. We're going to go right back into here. I'm going to jump back to this site right here, and I'm going to flip to the top, police certificates, and I'm going to, this explains when you need a police certificate and how to get them and when they're valid and when they expire, but I want to go down to here in exceptional circumstances. Right here, folks. Take a look. IRCC may accept, and remember, every single immigration officer can do whatever the heck they want. They are not bound. They have discretion. They can choose to accept or not your explanation. But so many people who go through, complete their own application, get their confirmation of permanent residence, land in Canada, then consider themselves experts. And they provide this detailed list. This is exactly what you need to do. You don't need to hire anyone. You can do it yourself. And you follow my path and it will succeed. Wrong, wrong. It may succeed. But understand that every single person is going to have an application that's adjudicated by possibly 500 different officers. I don't know how many there are. But the reality is every officer is different. And what might have worked for that person who succeeded, well, you could submit the exact same document or explanation in the way that person explained it and get your application returned for being incomplete. So the reality, and you guys all have to understand this, is there is always discretion, and you have to cover off every possible contingency, or at least as much as possible, to narrow the officer's discretion down to a point where they will approve it. So this is an exceptional circumstance, as you can see. They may accept it. So proof of having requested a police certificate for such countries and an explanation of best efforts. So not a guarantee of acceptance. You guys see this here. The applicant should explain the delay in a document and upload the document. The uploaded document must show that the applicant requested a police certificate as soon as possible. I'm going to shrink that down and highlight just that. As soon as possible after receiving their ITA. Okay? So in the case of Tina here, if you made the request right away and you were prompt and you were proactive and you were diligent, then you'll provide proof that you've made the request. So with the FBI, often you're submitting things via courier. So hopefully you have your courier receipt. I always keep a copy of the exact application that I requested, including a copy of my fingerprints as proof that they were actually sent in. And then I upload that explanation when I'm running out of time. Now, I prefer to wait till about a week before the invitation to apply, before that time period, 90 days, expires. And then I submit everything at that week point. So 1 week left. So that would be 2 months, 3 weeks. Okay? I do it in plenty of advance time in case the portal's down or in case there's a problem with uploading it. There's a problem with your computer or there's just issues. If you leave it to the last hour and then you try to finalize everything, pay your fees, and there's a problem, you can be hooped. You can have a huge problem. So I always try to do it at least a week in advance. But the answer to your question is, yes, you can do it. You just make sure that you were very proactive with when you made the request and that you didn't delay. However, even in those circumstances, the officers always have the discretion to say, no, I'm not satisfied. Too bad, so sad. Okay? So there we go. Answer to that question. Hope you folks like that one. Okay? That one's gone. That one disappeared totally. Oh man, it's behind my desk. I'm going to have to fish that one out after. Okay, next question. This one is from Ashraful. And Ashraful says, and I'm just going to call him Ash. He says, okay, dear sir, I'm from Bangladesh. Thank you for your help regarding EE with your vast knowledge. My questions are as follows. Okay, he asked 3 questions. I'm only going to cover 2. The first one, he said, my friend, so he's asking on behalf of a friend who's currently in the UK, started her engineering long time back, but later she dropped that course because she had work opportunity. Then she did her MBA. Will CIC accept her education if assessed as master's degree, though she does not have any bachelor degree? Okay, well, the simple answer to that is you need to get, or your friend needs to get, an educational credential assessment, ECA. WES is typically, World Education Services is typically the one that most people use. You can use, but there's ICAS, there's a number of other ones, even one based in Alberta. So what you have to realize is that that report is determinative. If that report says that she has a master's degree and it equates to a Canadian master's, then it's a master's. If the report comes back and says it's a bachelor's or a 1-year diploma equivalency, then that is what it is. So it's a pretty simple equation. Any of you who have questions about does my education equate and how many comprehensive ranking system points will I get from my education, it's all determinative by your WES or your Educational Credential Assessment Report. Okay? Question 2 says, for me, great. Okay, this one's for Ash. My wife is the primary applicant. Cool. Awesome. I have my IELTS, but I didn't do my ECA. Can I only mention and submit my IELTS, but do not submit any educational document post-ITA? The reason is that I lost 2 of my certificates recently, and it will take a long time, plus my presence to get the duplicate. Therefore, can I just mention my recent education in personal history within the last 10 years without uploading the documents? Heck yeah, buddy. Absolutely. You do not need to, just like work experience, you do not need to list any education that you're not claiming points for. If you don't need the points, then don't waste your time, especially and the cost of getting an ECA, which can be really expensive. If you don't need it, don't get it. But if you need those comprehensive ranking system points, then go and get your education assessed. Awesome. Great questions. Okay. That was a good one. It was like floating. Awesome. Okay, next question is Michael. Okay, so Michael asks, hey, greetings from Edmonton. Awesome, another Edmontonian. How are you? Thank you for giving us very useful tips and answers on our express entry journey. You are very welcome, Michael. We all appreciate this. I would like to ask a question about letter of reference for a non-Canadian employer. I already have one, and everything seems okay except one thing. Dun, 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 dun. The annual salary, which they put in the letter, is in domestic currency. Hey, wait a minute. I think we've had a question like this. Should I ask them, my previous employer, to add the number in Canadian dollars, or it doesn't matter for Canadian officer reviewing the application? I hope my question is understandable. And Michael, I've already answered it for you. No, the currency is irrelevant. It can be in a different country's currency because, after all, that's what they paid you in. And remember, why does IRCC care? Because your work experience only counts if you were paid something. All right? Woo, there, that one's gone. Okay, I'm pounding through these pretty good. It's actually going really well. Okay, this one. This one is from your fan, and you know what? I think if I try to pronounce this, I'm going to get in trouble here. So at least those of you who are familiar with Canadian slang. So I'm gonna type his name on the screen here. Okay, this is his name. Yes, that's it, and I will post it right here. So this is the guy, and you can probably see why I'm going to struggle pronouncing it with my braces. So K, I'm going to call him K. Oh my goodness. Those of you who get my humor, great. Those of you who don't, I'm sorry. But anyways, the question is from this guy right. I don't know if you can see my finger. Oh, there it is, right here. So he says, thanks for your support. Just wanted to ask. My job title falls under NOC-C. Okay, instantly. What do we know about NOC-C? Doesn't qualify for express entry. It's considered low skill. Let's see what the rest of his question was. And duties fall under a mix of NOC-C and NOC-B. If I convince my employer to issue a reference letter for duties stated as per NOC-B, will I be okay with it? I don't want to ruin this golden chance by being accused of misrepresentation. Please help. Okay, Kay, the answer is you don't want to do that because that would be a misrepresentation. The only way I could see that working, and believe me, this is not a guarantee, is if you spent at least half of your time working in two occupations, one of which is at a skilled level and the other is your NOC-C. If you worked, you can claim part-time experience. So, if you were to get the reference letter to explain that you worked a part-time position in that other occupation, at least meeting the part-time requirements. So that's 15 hours per week, okay? And so it would be 1,560 hours total over 2 years to accumulate the full 1 year work experience. Then if that was your only choice and your only chance of qualifying through express entry, you may be able to make that argument, but you wouldn't want to misrepresent. You wouldn't want to pretend that all of your work experience was actually at least 30 hours of skilled work experience in just that NOC-B, when in fact 15 of those hours were spent doing the NOC-C stuff. Okay? So you want to make sure that you don't misrepresent, don't lie. Okay? Awesome. Thanks for asking it, Kay. Woo! There we go. Kay is gone, and we're going to move Kay out of here. Woo! Gone. Okay. Next question. This one is from, oh man, I love this email. Bad Man Place. Awesome. Jason Brown. Okay, so Jason's question, and actually the last two relate to a question we get quite a bit of. And that is the issue of a spouse. Do you include your spouse and lose 40 comprehensive ranking system points? Potentially, if they don't have good education, language, or work experience. Or do you list them as non-accompanying, go through the process as a non-married person or a single applicant, claim those 40 points or a percentage of those 40 points back, and then sponsor them after you become a permanent resident? So the question is, in some cases, individuals are in the process of getting married. So sometimes there is an issue of, do I disclose my spouse or not? And other times it's, I'm engaged and I'm going to get married. Do I add my spouse now before my permanent resident application is finalized, or do I wait? Okay, so the question from Jason Brown is, if I get married after I receive the ITA, so he's thinking in advance here, he hasn't got the ITA yet, can I change my marital status before I submit my docs? And if so, do I then just submit the docs relevant to being married, or do I still have to submit the docs for common law? Wow, a lot of questions here. Right off the bat, this is where having a Canadian immigration lawyer helping you actually makes a difference, okay? Because what Jason has explained here could have unbelievably disastrous consequences for him and his spouse if he had not asked the question to me and was not aware of the answer I'm just about ready to give him. Here's the answer. Jason, if you are currently living in a common law relationship with that spouse, in other words, you have lived together with her, or him, I guess, depending on the relationship, for 1 year, then for immigration purposes, that person is considered already to be a spouse. So a common law spouse and a married spouse are the same in the eyes of IRCC. So right off the bat, your common law spouse, if you're indicating here common law, if they are truly a common law, they're already a spouse. You already need to disclose them. They already need to be medically examined and have police clearances done. And you may choose, I'm assuming you could choose to list them as non-accompanying, but that's not your question. I think you do want them to accompany you. But understand the distinction between common law and marriage. There's no distinction. If you have lived together for 1 year, they're considered a spouse. And if you don't disclose them, if you go through the process of filing your application without disclosing them, you land and then marry them and then try to sponsor them, you can be forever barred from sponsoring that spouse in the future, because in the eyes of IRCC, they were already a spouse, a common law spouse. Okay, so my recommendation is, if they're common law, you do everything right now. You include them and you go forward. Okay, great question. That one wasn't too bad. It got some good distance. Okay, this question is from Palwasha, so we'll call it Pal. Sir, my question is, if I apply without spouse, all right. So this is the one. All right. This is the one we get a lot. Non-accompanying spouse. Do I list them as non-accompanying? Do I not list them as non-accompanying? What do I do? So if I apply without spouse, would that make my case more complicated? Yes, it would. Okay? Would I be asked, why isn't he accompanying? My husband can't join at the moment because of some family commitments. But is that going to affect my case in any way? In your situation, it will not negatively impact if you have a justifiable reason why you want to list them as non-accompanying. It happens all the time. Spouses sometimes are not able or willing to travel right away. But if that's your reason, there's no issues at all. But I will advise you that if it's not an issue of trying to save yourself the 40 points, which I will repeatedly tell all of you, I would not ever want to submit an application, list my spouse as non-accompanying just to try and reclaim more of those 40 points. That's something I would never advise someone to do. Okay? That if you choose to do that, that's your choice. But I would never advise to do that because it's, in my mind, somewhat unethical. And it's a loophole that I wouldn't want to exploit. Look at this. See that, guys? My dear mother's trying to call me, and she doesn't even know that I'm doing an EE Live Q&A. I wonder if I should answer it right now. Oh, she hung up. Okay, I won't answer it live. She might get freaked out if she knows I was talking to her while I was giving express entry law answers to all of you guys. All right, so back to Pal's question. In the question of Pal here, if a person genuinely has reasons for their spouse not accompanying them, then yeah, there's no problems at all. They still have to be medically examined. They still have to have police clearances done. But in the end, there's no problems with it at all. The challenge happens when people list them as non-accompanying. Then after they filed their EAPR and received confirmation that their application has been accepted, in other words, if I go back here and I blow this up, and you can see right at the top here, this is, they've passed the express entry completeness check right here. Then that person decides, hey, I'm going to try and add my spouse on now because I can. And I'm going to say that now I changed my mind. And the comprehensive ranking system has already happened. I've already received my ITA. My application has already been locked in. And now I'm going to add them. That's when you start to run into problems. And I'm working with a client right now through our Express Entry Law Facebook group, and I know she will confirm, as much as me, that it has been a freaking nightmare. So, trying to add a spouse, first listing them as non-accompanying, and then adding them on before they become a permanent resident, but after they've passed the completeness check and the comprehensive ranking system points are locked in. After all of that has happened, adding a spouse on is extremely complicated and painful, as my client will acknowledge. And it has been crazy. We have received passport requests. We've sent them in. They've returned them, said, no, we have to change it because now you're adding a spouse, when we already told them about it. We provided copies of medicals that were already submitted. It was a nightmare, okay? The system is not built for it. But if you want to go down that road, and you've got a justifiable reason to explain it, there's no law preventing you from doing it. But I will advise that it is a freaking nightmare. Crazy. Woo! There we go. Last question, launched. All right, folks. We have 15 minutes of live fire questions that you guys can shoot at me right now, starting now. Go. Submit them. So you people that are here live, now's the chance for you to get me to answer your questions live. And this is always a ton of fun because I don't know what's coming, right? And I know I won't be able to get to all of your questions, but I will do my best for the next 15 minutes. Technically, it's 14 minutes. Uh-oh, there's the managing partner of the firm that just went by. 12:52. Okay, I'll go a little bit over, but I don't want him to think I'm giving away all this stuff for free. He literally just walked by right there. Okay, anyways. Okay, let's see what we got. Any questions you have? Oh, do you know what? I'm not seeing any. Maybe no one has any questions for me today. Well, that's fine. We can just we can end, I guess. Oh, there they are. Okay, what about the weather there? Oh my goodness, Gull man, you're hilarious. Do you know what? You can Google it, man. You can Google it. All right, you want to see the weather? Okay, let's see the weather. So here's what we're going to do. Actually, do you know what? I got a better idea. That's faster while we delay here and give time for people to post their questions. Okay, I'm going to go back here to my full screen. Oh, yeah, sorry, there they are. I knew they were there. Everybody was just typing. Okay, so let me scroll back here. Let's see. Okay, okay, so Gallman says, what's the weather there? You know what? I answer any questions. I don't care what they are. This is open season. Okay, so I'm going to go here onto my app. And I'm going to show you right now, as soon as this loads, there you go. -5. It's balmy here in the winters of the Canadian North. Okay, there you go, Gullman. That's the last crazy question I'm going to answer for you. Okay, only express entry law questions or things remotely similar or aligned with express entry I'll answer. Okay. Mohammed, I love the way you throw the papers after an answer. Great. Thanks. You're probably the one who told me to do it. Okay. Roshni, what if you have not received salary as bank transfer? How do you show salary slips? If you don't have them, you can't provide them. If you received cash payments, it's not the end of the world. Many companies pay cash. Then you'll need to provide other evidence that you were paid. Because remember, that's the key. Remember, we talked about that letter. You have to show that you received a wage or salary. Okay? The letter will demonstrate and will say, you know what? Here, let's go in here and I'll show you just really quick because I think that will help. We go back here. We go down once again to we'll shrink that, proof of work experience. Remember, this is what you have to prove, okay? So job title, duties, number of hours worked, blah, 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 annual salary plus benefits. So the letter will show how much you've been paid, but you won't have salary slips. When you go through the EAPR portion, the portal asks you to submit this letter, exactly like this is worded here, and pay slips if available. So in your situation here, Roshni, if you were paid cash, which I think is kind of what you're asking, if you didn't receive those salary slips or it wasn't transferred into your bank as a bank transfer, did you deposit the cash into a bank account? Do you have proof of that? Did you file taxes? Did the company make remittances to the government on your behalf as a part of their obligations like we have here in Canada? Is there a record of that? Does your annual tax filings, your annual tax return show your employment income that you paid, that you were paid, and the taxes that you paid on that income? So you can use all of those things as an alternative if you don't have the salary slips. But remember, the government within the EAPR portal only asks for the pay slips if they're available. And if they have any questions, then they have the ability to ask for confirmation of anything that you provide. Okay, so Don, I lost my passport. I can only show for 8 years. What should I do? You don't have to show anything. You provide your current passport. The stamp page is in there. Sometimes they will come back if they're asking for travel history, but you can only provide what you've got, and then you provide an explanation. Okay, you probably reported the passport stolen, but you've got an explanation. So when you're filing your EAPR, it actually doesn't ask for anything more than your current passport and the stamp pages within it. If you lost your other passport, it's not a big deal. Okay. Zishan, do you know about multiple entry visas and it's cozy? I think maybe that's a typo. Maybe cost. Okay, well, let's take a look. All the information is here. You just have to know where to look for it. So let's go here. CIC fee list. How much does it cost? Well, if you're looking for the fee list for a multiple entry temporary resident visa, temporary residence, visitor visas, here you go. You can see visitor visa, single or multiple entry is $100 Canadian. And then your immigration representative, such as myself, would then have a fee that they would charge you if you're using a rep to help you. Okay? And I help people with TRVs. I help people with work permits. And I don't find jobs for people, okay? I just assist the company in obtaining labor market impact assessments and in you filing your work permit application, which is typically online. So I do that. I do spousal sponsorships, a ton of those. I do all kinds of immigration, so not just express entry, but this is the one I love doing the most. Okay, let's see. Amer here, do you have to get medical done for all my family members, and that too at the time of submission of documents and after receipt of ITA? Any dependent family member, spouse, or dependent child that you have, all must be medically examined, whether they're coming with you or not. So if you've got a child from another relationship that's been broken down, you're divorced, whatever it may be, those children need to be medically examined. Anyone over 18 that's still considered a dependent also needs to have a police clearance done for every country that they've lived in, cumulatively 6 months that they've spent there in that country. Okay? All right. New York's, thank you, and I love your podcast. Fantastic. Sudeshna says, my husband is 44 years old and I am 38. Are we eligible for express entry? Because I am a very kind soul, I don't typically do eligibility assessments live in express entry law, our EE Live Q&As here. Assessments are something that I do for people through a consultation, a paid consultation. And understand, it's not just a simple matter of, in these consultations, of me taking you to this site. Okay, so this is where you want to go, Sudeshna. Okay, if you want to find out yourself, you go here. I'll enlarge this. Open up. Okay, I know if I go CIC, EE, CRS tool, this is where you can go to assess how many comprehensive ranking system points that you would get. You just answer all these questions. But you can also go here to come to Canada tool, to this site right here, come to Canada, and you can check your eligibility right here. Okay? So you can do it yourself if you want just the bare bones, computer generated response. But when I assist people, we talk about everything, all of the potential pitfalls, all of the challenges they may face, We deal with things proactively, and that's why you need to hire me at the very least to do a consultation with you, to advise you on all the potential issues that you may have at the onset. Not to review your whole application in 30 minutes, not to give you every possible contingency that could ever exist, but in 30 minutes I can give you a darn good idea of whether or not you'll qualify, and if you don't, things you can do to improve your chances. And I'm not just talking about improve your English, but I'm talking about a comprehensive review. All right? Okay. If you do want to book a paid consultation with me, I actually have a link on my firm website, and I will also try to put this in the show notes, but I should have this here. Right here, it's www.stringham.ca/immigration-Mark-Holthy. And that will take you right here, and you can book a paid consultation. And you can see here, all of the fees are here. Both me, Billy, you can choose between us, my immigration consultant, and it talks about everything, and that's how you do it. All right? So this is where you go if you would like to book a paid consultation and get direction and advice related to your specific situations from me, Mark Holthy, the Canadian immigration lawyer. All right, there you go. Goldman, no, you are a goofball, Goldman. Okay, yeah, that's his comments, folks. Those of you who are on YouTube who are watching this and can't see the live comment feed, Goldman lists no as his comment when I said I wasn't going to answer anymore. And he says, I Google you. Why am I giving Gullman any more attention? Okay, Gullman, you're gone. Okay. Musarat says, what's the chance of getting PR for a polio-stricken person? Okay, that's actually a really, really good question. Medical inadmissibility is something that's serious. And it's all based on whether or not the government feels you will cause, well, that if there's a risk to the health of Canadians because of any communicable diseases, but there's an excessive demand component. So if you and your condition would cause an excessive demand on Canadian health or social services, then it can make you medically inadmissible to Canada. But it depends. Polio is one of those diseases that you were stricken with, and then over time, you know, there isn't a lot other than the slow deterioration. At this stage, every person's conditions have to be assessed on an individual basis. So I can't give you a blanket statement that polio was not going to be something that would cause you to become medically inadmissible. But the reality is that assessment is on a case-by-case basis, and it happens in the context of completing your medical and then ultimately filing your EAPR. But, you know, I haven't dealt a lot with polio, but, you know, there's a good chance that it won't. So just, yeah, you just have to go forward with that, Musrat. Okay. Sajida says, my CRS is 294. I'm an IT engineer, 10 years experience, IELTS 6. Is it difficult to get more? Please advice. Apply in provinces that need IT or EE. Can I get nomination? Okay, Sajida, that's definitely a paid consultation question. There's a lot going on here. Your CRS is really low, but it would require a much more thorough assessment of your individual situation. So that's a specific question that I can't answer here. We're looking for general ones. Okay, Gullman, I'm going to block you, man. You're crazy. Okay, Obed, do we have to show our individual AC details if we have sufficient funds in our joint account? Oh, individual account details. Okay, let's go back to the question. Okay, so this is a proof of fund question. Let's go right back here. We go to our, right here, and you can read as well as me. So proof of funds, what are they asking for? Should provide official letter from one or more financial institutions that lists all current, and I'm going to go back here, all current bank and investment accounts, as well as outstanding debts, such as credit card debts and loans. Okay? So you have to decide, man. You have to decide for yourself. This says to me that you need to provide those. But ultimately, it's up to you. If you have sufficient funds in one account, do you need to provide bank statements from all and letters from all of the banks that you potentially have any money in? Well, you decide what you're going to do. But this is what it says here. Okay, so I can only give you that specific direction. Okay, we are closing in here, guys. 1 minute and we are done. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, Nesarji says, hello, Mark. I got an ITA and had submitted my husband's work experience while filing for ITA, but now I read that husband's work experience doesn't have points as I am primary applicant. Can I submit my electronic application without his work experience, but just write it in personal history? Actually, Nasarji, you can. So you can, and in fact, some people who list the work experience that they don't want to count, you can upload a letter specifically stating that this is something you're not going to get points for, and so you provide an explanation as to why you're not including it after the ITA is received. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, all right, guys. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to end right there. We've got a number of other questions there, but time is up, folks. 1 hour. I'm going to try to stick right to it. Thanks so much for tuning in. This was another fun EE Live Q&A. Those of you who are live, I'm so grateful for the interaction. It makes this so much more fun and enjoyable for me than me just blithering on like some talking head. So I appreciate everybody joining and being a part of this live. I want to remind everyone once again that this is sponsored by the Canadian Immigration Institute's Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide to Doing It Yourself. Subscribe to this, folks. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, I got to get this finger going. Subscribe to this right here. That's tough. This one. That's the one you want to subscribe to. And I'm not going to post all of the video testimonials. Maybe I will in the comment section. I'll throw a few in there. But the clients that I have who have gone through, and even non-clients, people who subscribe to it, I get only positive feedback. And so if you're looking to save yourself time and a ton of money, if you're looking to rely on some other crooked consultant or overseas agent versus hiring me, this is the direction you want to go. Right there. Right there. Okay? It is totally worth it. But you guys need to make decisions for yourself. All right? So Express Entry, that is the guide. If you want to leave a question for me in a future EE Live Q&A that you want me to answer, then you're going to type, what is it? EE Live Q&A right here in the subject line, and you are going to send that to my email address, which I'm also going to search for it here, right here, mholthy@stringham.ca. Okay? With this in the subject line, and I will consider your question for future EE Live Q&As. All right? I'll leave that up here, and I'll stick this right here. And I will say thank you for joining me. Signing off, Mark Holthy, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher.